Hi everybody, welcome back to Toadstool Tarot. I thought I'd do a short video today called My 5 Favorite Pams. Actually, there's a sixth, which is an honorable mention, which I'm starting out with, which could be much higher on the list, except they got so many things wrong. It's the Pam's Tarot Original Art Only Crackleback Design Limited Edition, restored by Real and self-published with My Lucky Card in 2019. I thought this was going to be my soul deck because it really seemed like it was going to hit all the benchmarks. But I got the deck. I'll tell you what's right and what's wrong about it. It's not a great box. It's just kind of a tuck box, a throwaway tuck box. The backs I love because I love the old crackleback design, and this one is kaleidoscopic. Best yet, except if you look closely, it's not symmetrical. This side, there's a little more than on the other side. They could have centered it and got it perfectly symmetrical. And this deck I thought I would love because there are no labels, no numbers, no copyright information, just the images. And I thought, how fantastic is that? However, I find the cardstock isn't bad. The finish on it isn't great. There's something about the ink placement on these. The colors are really garish. You don't know if you can tell here, but they are not subtle at all. They're quite bright, and they come off. The quality, if you angle it, it looks like linen cardstock, but it's not really. Well, maybe it is, but it's so subtle you can see it when the light hits it a certain way, but you can't really feel it. But the application of the color, somehow it just looks garish and cheap. It kind of looks like poor color Xeroxes from the old days. So yeah, I thought this could, and also the line work is a little blotchy, and some of the coloration's blotchy. So I thought they could have done a much better job, and this could have been #1 on my list had they got all the elements right, but they didn't. So it's #6, or maybe even lower. But this is a note to the people that put this together. They can do a new edition, do a better job of it by correcting those little issues. #5 on the list is the Radiant Rider-Waite in a tin. I love a tin. I love the beautiful art design of the Fool on the cover of this particular tin. I love the bright yellow. This deck, I'm not finding information on. It's not really saying who redrew the imagery. The little cards do have a nice starlit back. Don't really mind the borders too much. It'd be nicer without. The front, the images aren't bad. Be better without borders. They've got borders. They've got a number at the top, text at the bottom. The text is in a font, not Pixie's font. There's a little copyright info on there I could do without. The colors are bright and vivid, hence the name Radiant Rider-Waite. They really pop. But certain subtleties in facial expressions on the redrawing have changed. So while some of the imagery is clearer than some of the other outlined decks, the attitudes of some of the characters seem different, and that affects my readings. So that's number 5. Number 4 is the Rider-Waite tarot deck, which has been drawn by, or colored rather, by Mary Hanson Roberts. And I'm looking to see, yes, these are Pam's original drawings. They've just been recolored. They have a beautiful back. This is sort of like the other, but it's kind of shimmery night stars. Again, I could do without that border, but I'm not going to complain about that. Nice cardstock, sort of glossy. It's a nicer stock than the pocket version. The pocket version has a different back and it's more matte. This is glossier. I actually like glossy if it's slippery and not sticky and easy to shuffle. This has Pam's font and it has the numbers at the top. It also has the U.S. Games copyright, which I hate. I wish none of them had that, but I understand why they do it. It has a soft appearance like it's been drawn by colored pencil. And I never noticed till just now, but if you angle and tilt them in the light, you get a little odd revealing of outlined areas, almost like embossed. You don't feel any embossing, but angled in the light, you can almost see an outline where they trace the original figure and then embellish that. That's kind of curious. You might want to check that out. It's like a little, what do they call them, little Easter egg or something. Yeah. So that's number 5, the Rider-Waite tarot deck, not to be confused with the Universal tarot deck that is drawn by, is it Frank something? This is Mary Hanson Roberts, the gal, not the guy. So there's 2 different Universal ones, and the other one aren't Pam's drawings. They're redrawn. Same system, same image idea, but redrawn images. These are traced over Pam's images and just recolored like a color pencil. Number 3 on the list is the Smith-Waite Centennial Edition tarot deck in a tin. Now I love decks in a tin. I didn't get this at first. I chose the Radiant first because I loved the image and the color. I don't really like this illustration so much. This is a non-tarot illustration and I appreciate them sharing it with us, but I'd have been just as happy if they'd included it as a bonus card and gone with a more traditional image on the cover, like the Fool or the Magician or, you know, something else. This one has a couple bonus cards inside. The backs, I'm not thrilled with, but they're okay. They're kind of unobtrusive. Little, you know, faint blue with her signature upright and upside down, which is kind of abstract, and a little rose in the center. So the rose isn't symmetrical, so it's not really conducive to what you call them, reversals. I don't use reversals. Also, I'm not sure what the big deal is about backs needing to be symmetrical for reversals. I mean, when you go to shuffle, you shuffle sort of randomly. Do you really stop and pause to think, oh, I don't want to pick that card because it's upside down? I just kind of tune that stuff out, but like I said, I don't do reversals. This one, I like this deck. It used to be top of my list until I discovered one where the line work was a little sharper. This is pretty good. The cards, which don't really reflect it here, have a really nice coloring. They're supposed to emulate the earliest, most authentic edition in terms of color and design. The whites are not stark white. They're kind of an antique white, not quite bone, but almost like that, sort of an off-white. And the cards in the large flat areas like the skies have a kind of a grainy, aged appearance to them that I really like. It gives it a sort of an antique look. So yeah, I really like this deck a lot, and I used to just carry it in my bag with me all the time. I haven't lately. It probably needs to go back there, but I think I'm sort of spoiled for decks I like better now, and I'm afraid to carry them in my bag for fear that the boxes will get all beaten up. Number 2 is a flawed deck, but it's a more recent one, and I'm loving it more and more all the time despite all the flaws. It's the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot, which I think is based on what was lovingly referred to as the Dirty Pam, because a dirt filter has been put over the cards, giving them an atmospheric look. And so the brightness in these are not like bright sunny days. They're kind of moody. They're almost like set at dusk. And it has a kind of a three-dimensional, moody quality to it. If you have a melancholy nature, you might love these cards because they're less bright and vivid and more moody and thoughtful. They're also borderless, which I love, and they're highly glossy, which I love. Some people hate glossy. They are slippery and nice to shuffle. They do have a minimum of a border at the bottom with text on the court cards and the majors, and it's not Pixie's font. It is it's just a very straightforward font. I'm trying to find a major here so I can show you. Okay, here's the Empress. You have not only the name but a Roman numeral at the bottom of that one. But I like these. I did find a few little flaws. Like a couple things that bothered me is the dirt filter has a couple of freckles in it that I noticed they use the exact same filter in the exact same location on several cards, which no longer looks like they're randomly aged. They've just been thrown a mechanical filter over the top that kind of rubber stamps them all with the same dirty areas, and that bothers me. Also, there's one card in here in particular that bothered me. If I can find it, it's a pentacle card. This one. The Six of Pentacles, there's a misprint, which won't bother some of you, but one of those scales has broken strings on it. Now that's just careless, I think. They could have easily remedied that. And for me, that gives the card new meaning, or different meaning than before. It's like the scales aren't fair, they're broken, they're uneven. You might have read that into the card before because he's giving coins to one person and not to the other, but we don't know whether or not he's going to be fair or equal about it. This just seems to kind of emphasize that there's a disparity there. The one that's getting the coins has the solid strings. The one without has the broken strings. Now, if that were true in all the other decks, I could live with it. But the fact that it's different in this deck than any of the other Pam decks means it's just an error. And I don't like that. It does have a nice booklet, a nice fat booklet, and some good information in it. That was my number 2. Now my new number 1. This took the place of the Centennial Edition for me. And I've only had it a little over a week, and I love it so much. I would love to carry it with me always, but I'm afraid, since it was kind of hard to get, of bashing up the box. It's the Tarot of Rider-Waite, the AGM Premium Edition, in the orange box. I couldn't get it in the US. They don't sell it in the US. I had to order through Amazon UK. They did fill the order, but somehow or other it wasn't shipped from England. It was shipped from Poland, which I don't care. It's in English, it's not in Polish. The box is glorious. It's a knocker. Why do I'm starting to refer to these as knockers because everybody makes a big deal of knocking on their boxes to show you it's a sturdy box. So this is a knocker. This deck has the gorgeous cracklebacks. These are not symmetrical, but this is supposedly true to the earliest or one of the earliest editions. I looked very carefully at comparing the art to a website of early editions and found correspondences in here which lead me to believe this is from plates from the Pam A deck. However, the drawback on this deck is that it doesn't have Pam's font. It's a type font. Other than that, it looks, very authentic. The line work is the sharpest that I've seen anywhere. It's the best. I have yet to find a deck with sharper line work than this. And that I appreciate. I appreciate being able to see all the fine details. Trying to see if I can find a card that is generally rather confusing and see how clear it is and see if that translates on my camera for you. I'm looking for I think it's the 10 of Pentacles. Yes. Well, I don't know if you can tell in this one or not, but it's very, very sharp, very clear. It does have a border, but I'll take the borders over the borderless if the color and the line definition is better, which this is. This also has the best little white book I've run across yet. It's a thick little white book. It's 95 pages, and there are little black and white thumbnails of every card, a full page for each card, and it's very well written. I love this. I swear by it. So that is my, currently, as of September 2019, my number 1 Pam deck. Until a better one comes along. You now know all the things I like and all the things I don't like. Maybe you share some of those, or maybe you have different choices, different preferences. But those are my top 5. Number 1, the Tarot of Rider-Waite, AGM. Number 2, the Rider-Waite Spirit from Lo Scarabeo. Number 3, the Smith-Waite Centennial Tarot from U.S. Games. Number 4, the Universal Waite by U.S. Games, colored by Mary Hanson Roberts. Number 5, the Radiant Rider-Waite in a tin, also U.S. Games. And like I said, that honorable mention is the Pam's Tarot Original Art Only, which was so close but missed the mark by a mile. So that's it. See you next time. Bye.